Chapter 1. First Fall. Logan Reed reached Liberty Tech University with a small bag and a big hope. He was not from a rich family. His parents wanted him to do well. He wanted to prove something. He had heard college life was hard, but he was not ready for how hard it would really be. On his first day, he met two boys who later became his close friends. One was Troy Mitchell. He was tall, confident, and didn't care what anyone thought. The second was Evan Brooks. He looked nervous, talked less, and always checked his phone as if his parents were watching him from far. They all shared the same dorm room. Logan was happy he was not alone. But soon, the excitement faded. Classes started. Professors spoke fast. Assignments came like a storm. Logan found it hard to follow. Evan tried hard but looked tired. Troy didn't even try. He just smiled and said, "Grades don't matter, Logan. Real life is outside the classroom." Logan didn't know how to reply. One evening, as Logan sat in the library pretending to study, he saw a girl walking past the shelves. She looked focused. Her books were in her hands. Logan watched her but quickly looked away. A few minutes later, she dropped one paper. Logan picked it up and gave it to her. "Thanks," she said. "I'm Haley." Logan smiled. "Logan," he said. She walked away. It was a short moment, but it stayed with him. Later that night, Troy came into the room and said, "My sister was at the library today. Did you see her?" Logan was shocked. "Your sister?" he asked. "Yeah, Haley. She's doing science. Don't talk to her too much. She's smart. You'll look dumb." Troy laughed. Logan stayed quiet. He didn't want trouble. But something about Haley made him feel calm. Days passed. Tests came. Logan's scores were not great. Evan was scared. His parents had high hopes. Troy failed in one class, but he laughed. "The system is broken," he said. "We are just numbers to them." Logan started to think maybe Troy was right. One day, they all sat in the room looking at their grades. Logan had a GPA of 5.1. Evan had 5.4. Troy had 4.9. They looked at each other. No one spoke. Then Troy said, "We are 5-point-someones now. Not great, not fail, just there." Logan tried to smile, but it felt heavy. Evan said, "What will our parents say?" Troy said, "They'll survive." But will we? That night, Logan could not sleep. He thought of home. He thought of Haley. He thought of the numbers beside his name. College was not how he imagined. He had friends, but he still felt lost. He looked at Troy, who was sleeping without worry. He looked at Evan, who had tears in his eyes even in sleep. Logan closed his eyes and whispered, "Is this just the start?" Chapter 2. We're not failing alone. Logan woke up early. The sunlight was soft, but his heart felt heavy. He looked at the paper in his hand again. His GPA was still low. He folded it and placed it under his notebook. Evan was still asleep, curled up like a small child. Troy was already out, maybe in the gym or wandering around campus. Logan sat for a while without saying a word. Then he got up and left the room. At the cafe, he saw Haley sitting alone with a cup of coffee and a notebook. Logan walked slowly, thinking whether to talk or not. She looked up and smiled. "Rough week?" she asked. Logan nodded. "Feels like we are all sinking," he said. Haley closed her notebook. "It's okay to feel lost. I do too sometimes." Logan looked surprised. "But you're doing well," he said. Haley looked away. "Doing well doesn't mean I'm not tired." That evening, Troy came back with a strange look. He threw his bag on the bed and said, "Guess what? I told Professor Grant that his teaching sucks." Evan sat up quickly. "Are you serious?" he asked. Troy laughed. "Of course. I said it kindly, though. I told him his notes are useless and his slides make people sleep." Logan shook his head. "And what did he say?" Troy smiled. "He said I should spend more time studying and less time talking." Evan whispered, "You're going to get kicked out someday." Troy replied, "Maybe, but I won't regret it." The next day, Logan went to meet Haley again. She was sitting under the stairs near the lab building. She looked tired. Logan sat beside her. "Troy shouted at a professor," he said. Haley sighed. "Not surprised. He's always loud when he's scared inside." Logan asked, "Was he always like this?" She paused, then said, "No. After our mom left, he changed. He became angry at everything. School, Dad, rules, even me." Logan stayed silent. Haley said, "He looks tough, but he's just broken in smart ways." Back in the dorm, Evan was on a call. His voice was low, but his words were clear. "No, Dad, I'll try harder. I know. Yes, I'll study more." After the call, he sat quietly on the bed. Logan asked, "Everything okay?" Evan didn't answer. After a few minutes, he said, "My dad said I'm wasting money. He said poor kids don't get second chances." Logan didn't know what to say. Troy came in and said, "Your dad's wrong. You're not wasting anything. You're just not done yet." That night they sat together with silence between them. No jokes, no loud music, just quiet breathing. Logan looked at both and said, "Maybe we are not doing great. Maybe we are 5 point something, but we're still here." Evan gave a small nod. Troy said, "We're not failing alone. That's something." Logan smiled. He thought of Haley. He thought of home. He thought of this small moment where nothing was perfect, but everything was real. College was hard. But maybe life was not about winning. Maybe it was about standing next to people who are also trying not to fall. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the hype button to support us. Read this full story and many more emotional English stories on our website, www.bookishenglish.com. Chapter 3. The Wrong Turn We Took. The next few days felt slow. Evan didn't talk much. He looked tired and lost. Logan wanted to ask him if he was okay, but he didn't know how. Troy acted normal, but something about his silence felt fake. One night they all sat in the room, looking at their textbooks but not reading. Logan said, "What if we fail this semester?" Troy smiled. We already are. Evan closed his book and said, If I fail, my dad will never let me come back. Logan looked down. Same here. Troy stood up and started walking in the room. There is one way to fix this, he said. Logan asked, What way? Troy lowered his voice and said, I know someone from the tech lab. He can give us access to last year's project files. The questions don't change much. If we study from them, we'll pass for sure. Evan looked scared. Isn't that cheating? Troy replied, Not really. It's just preparation, but from inside sources. Logan was quiet. His heart felt heavy. He asked, What if we get caught? Troy looked serious. Then we fall. But we're falling anyway. This is a chance to rise. Evan looked at Logan. Logan looked at the floor. No one said yes, but no one said no either. 2 days later, Troy handed them a folder. Everything's here, he said. Just don't tell anyone. They started studying from the files. Logan felt nervous. He wasn't used to doing something wrong, but his fear of failing was stronger than his fear of guilt. Evan didn't speak. He just read the notes again and again. Troy looked relaxed, like he had done nothing wrong. The exam day came. Logan's hands were cold. He looked at the paper. Almost all questions were from the folder. His heart beat fast. He solved them one by one. After the test, Evan looked pale. What if they find out? He whispered. Troy said, They won't. Relax. But 2 days later, everything broke. In the evening, a professor called them to the office. Dr. Grant sat with a straight face. Do you know why you're here? He asked. No, one replied. He placed 3 answer sheets on the table. Your answers match word by word with last year's project files. We checked. Do you have anything to say? Evan's hands started shaking. Troy said, We just practiced those questions. That's not wrong. Dr. Grant replied, Accessing restricted files is a violation. You'll be called by the discipline board. Logan's mind went blank. They walked out in silence. Evan looked sick. Troy tried to smile, but his lips were tight. That night, Evan didn't eat. He sat on the bed, staring at the wall. Logan sat beside him. We messed up, he said. Evan didn't reply. Troy said, We did what we had to. They don't care about us. Why should we care about their rules? Logan said, Because we care about ourselves. At least I do. The next morning, Logan woke up and found Evan missing. His bed was empty. His phone was gone. Logan ran through the hallway. He asked people, checked outside, but couldn't find him. He called Haley. Evan is missing, he said. She came running. They called Troy. Troy's voice shook. You think he might hurt himself? Logan whispered. I don't know. Hours passed. No word from Evan. Logan's heart beat louder with every minute. Haley said, Please find him. He's not as strong as you think. Troy didn't talk. He sat with his head down. Later that evening, they got a call. A student had found Evan near the old stairwell, unconscious. He had taken pills. They rushed to the hospital. Logan sat beside the bed, holding his hand. He cried silently. Troy stood in the corner, not speaking. Haley looked at both of them. "This isn't about grades anymore," she said. "This is about people." Logan closed his eyes. "We took the wrong turn," he whispered, "and Evan almost paid the price." Chapter 4. The Night Everything Broke. Logan sat in the hospital waiting area with his hands pressed together. His fingers felt cold. Evan lay in the next room, hooked up to a monitor. Every small beep cut through Logan's chest. Troy sat on a chair with his head down. He hadn't spoken since they brought Evan here. Haley stood near the door, her arms crossed tightly. No one had any words left. Hours passed, but time felt like a stone. Logan wanted to say something but didn't know how. At last he whispered, "He will be okay, right?" Haley nodded slowly. "I hope so." Troy didn't lift his head. He just muttered, "This is my fault." Logan looked at him. "It's not just you," he said. "We all went along." Troy raised his eyes, red and tired. "No, Logan. I pushed you. I gave you the folder. I made it sound easy. I told you rules don't matter. But they do. And now Evan is fighting for his life." Haley came closer. "Stop blaming yourselves," she said quietly. "Right now, Evan needs you both to be here when he wakes up. The doctor came out and said Evan was stable but weak. He needed to rest." Logan let out a shaky breath. Troy leaned back and covered his face. Haley put her hand on Logan's shoulder. "You need to eat," she said softly. Logan shook his head. "I'm not hungry." She sat beside him. "Neither am I," she whispered. For a moment, the two of them sat in silence. Then she said, "Do you know why Troy is like this? He wasn't always angry. He was brilliant and happy. But after our mom left, Dad became hard. He put rules above everything. Troy started fighting everything because he felt nobody cared. He protects me in his own way, but he is lost inside." Logan listened, surprised. "I didn't know," he said. Haley looked at him. "Nobody does. They just see the noise, not the pain." Later that night, the nurse let them see Evan. He was asleep, pale but breathing. Logan held his hand. "You're going to be fine," he whispered. "We're here." Troy stood at the end of the bed. He didn't speak, but his eyes were wet. Logan had never seen him like this. Haley brushed Evan's hair back gently. "He's like my little brother, too," she said. Troy finally spoke. "When he wakes up, I'm going to tell him I'm sorry." Logan squeezed Evan's hand. "We all will," he said. Back in the corridor, Troy stopped Logan. "We can't go back to how things were," he said. "No more cheating, no more shortcuts. I don't care if we fail every class. I'm done hurting people." Logan nodded. "Me too." Haley looked at them both. "Then promise me you'll keep each other safe," she said. "Evan can't go through this again." Troy looked at her and said quietly, "I promise." At 3 in the morning, Logan still couldn't sleep. He sat in the hard chair beside Evan's bed. Haley had gone home for a while. Troy sat on the floor, his back against the wall. The room smelled of medicine, but Logan didn't notice. He only saw Evan's slow breathing. "We thought grades were everything," Logan whispered. "But what's the use if we lose ourselves?" Troy looked at him. "You're right," he said softly. "We have to change." Logan held Evan's hand a little tighter. "We will," he said. Morning crept slowly. Evan stirred and opened his eyes just a little. Logan leaned forward. "Hey," he said. "You're okay. You're safe." Evan's lips moved, but no sound came. Logan smiled through tears. "We're here. We're not going anywhere." Troy came closer. "I'm sorry," he whispered. Evan blinked once. Logan felt his hand squeeze weakly. That small squeeze felt like a weight lifting from Logan's heart. Haley returned and saw Evan awake. She gave a small smile. "Welcome back," she said softly. Evan looked at her and then at Logan and Troy. His eyes filled with tears. Logan spoke first. "You scared us. Don't do that again." Evan closed his eyes, but a faint smile appeared. Haley touched Logan's arm. "He will recover, but you all have to recover too." Logan nodded. He thought of the past weeks, the folder, the exam, the shame, the hospital. Something inside him shifted. He realized life wasn't about being perfect students. It was about being whole people. That night had broken something, but it had also opened a door. Logan looked at Troy and then at Haley. "We're going to fix this," he said. Troy took a deep breath. "Together," he said. Haley added, "And for the right reasons." Logan looked at Evan sleeping again and whispered, "We're not just 5-point someones anymore. We're friends who almost lost each other. Never again." Chapter 5. When nothing made sense, Evan stayed in the hospital for 3 more days. Logan and Troy visited him every morning and evening. They didn't say much. They just sat near him. Sometimes Haley came too. She brought soup, fresh clothes, or soft music. Evan didn't speak much, but he listened. He looked at Logan longer now. He didn't cry anymore, but there was pain in his eyes. Logan felt it. Troy saw it. No one tried to fix it with big words. They just stayed close. One evening, Logan and Troy walked back to the dorm. It was quiet. Logan said, "I feel empty, even now." Troy nodded. "Me too," he said. "Nothing makes sense anymore." Logan looked down. "Why did we do it? We could have studied. Maybe we would have failed. But this? It broke Evan." Troy stopped walking. "We did it because we were scared, not lazy. Scared of being seen as failures. Scared of being left behind." Logan thought for a moment. "Maybe the system wants us to feel that way." Troy gave a sad smile. "Then the system is broken, but we don't have to stay broken with it." At night, Logan sat near his bed and opened a blank notebook. He wrote one line. "We almost lost our friend to a number." Then he closed it. His eyes burned, but he didn't cry. He looked around. The room felt different now. Not because things had changed, but because he had. Next morning, Evan was allowed to come back to the dorm. The nurse gave him some instructions. "Rest, eat, no stress," she said. Logan helped him walk slowly. Troy carried his bag. When they reached the room, Evan sat on the bed and said, "Thank you." Logan said, "No need. We're friends." Troy added, "We were fools, but we're still your fools." Evan gave a small smile. It was the first real smile in days. Later that evening, Haley came to see them. She brought soup and fruit. "No junk food," she said. "Doctor's orders." Troy said, "We'll follow every rule now, Haley. Promise." She looked at him and said, "Don't follow rules. Follow what's right." Logan sat near Evan. "We need to restart," he said. "No more shortcuts." Troy nodded. "We try. If we fail with honesty." Then Troy stood up and said something surprising. "I want to build something," he said. Logan asked, "What do you mean?" Troy looked serious. "Something useful. Something that helps students like us. A tool, an app, anything. We say college is hard, but no one builds tools to make it easier. What if we create something that listens when students can't speak, that warns before someone breaks?" Evan looked up. "You mean like for mental stress?" Troy nodded. "Exactly. An app that tracks emotional signs, that shows early danger. Something that gives a small light when things get dark." Logan said, "But we're not experts." Troy replied, "We're not, but we're survivors." "That counts too." Haley was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "If you build it, I'll help. I'll ask my psychology professor too." Evan looked unsure. "Will people use it?" Troy said, "Even if one person uses it and lives, it's worth it." Logan placed his hand on Evan's shoulder. "We do this together. No rush, no rules to break. Just heart." That night, the three boys sat in their room. Logan drew a few circles on paper. Troy made a rough plan. Evan wrote points for what he had felt before his breakdown. There were no big dreams, just small steps. But for the first time, it didn't feel useless. Before sleeping, Logan looked at the paper one more time. "We almost lost each other," he said. "Now we build something that saves others." Troy replied, "This time we're not fixing grades. We're fixing what matters." Evan closed his eyes and said, "When nothing made sense, you both stayed. That makes sense to me now." Logan smiled. The numbers were still low. The pressure was still there. But something stronger had begun. Not just healing, not just recovery, but a reason to move forward. Chapter 6. Secrets and Second Chances. Haley came to the dorm more often now, not just to check on Evan, but to help with the new project. She brought her laptop, books, and sometimes snacks. The room that once felt broken now had a quiet energy. Logan watched her as she explained things. She was smart, but soft. Calm, but strong. He liked the way she spoke, the way she listened, and how she made everyone feel seen. One evening, Logan stayed back after Troy and Evan left for dinner. Haley was packing her bag when Logan asked, "Do you ever feel like you don't belong here?" Haley looked up slowly. "All the time," she said. "People think I'm perfect. Smart professor's daughter. Good grades, no mistakes. But I hide things too." Logan sat down. "Like what?" She took a deep breath. "I cried alone the night my mom left. I hated my father for being cold. I even hated Troy for ignoring me. But I never said a word." Logan was silent. Haley added, "And now, sometimes I still cry when no one sees me." Logan looked at her with care. "You don't have to hide that with me," he said. She gave a small smile. "Maybe I won't anymore." There was a long pause. Then she said, "Logan, why didn't you tell me you liked me?" Logan froze. I didn't want to cause trouble. You're Troy's sister." Haley laughed softly. "I know. But I'm also me, and I like the way you care about people, the way you stayed by Evan's side, the way you listen when I speak." Logan looked down. "So, is this okay?" She nodded. "It's more than okay." Meanwhile, Troy worked late nights alone. He didn't talk much about it. He said the app needed focus, but something else was on his mind. One night, Logan saw him staring at his phone for a long time. "You okay?" Logan asked. Troy replied, "Just thinking." Logan didn't ask more, but he knew something was hidden. The next day, Troy didn't come to class. Logan found him sitting outside the admin office. "What happened?" Logan asked. Troy said, "I'm going to the discipline hearing." Logan's eyes widened. "Now?" Troy nodded. "They called me alone. I told them I gave the folder. I didn't mention you or Evan." Logan said, "You don't have to take this alone." Troy replied, "Yes, I do. I started it. I finish it." Hours later, Troy returned. Logan and Evan waited for him. "They gave me a warning," Troy said. "If anything happens again, I'm out." Evan looked worried. "That's serious." Troy nodded. "Yeah, but it's fair." Logan asked, "How do you feel?" Troy gave a half smile. "Strange, but light, like I dropped a heavy bag I was carrying too long." That night, Logan and Haley walked near the old stairs, the same place where Evan was found. Logan said, "I still see that night in my head." Haley replied, "Me too. But we're moving ahead now. Slowly, but we are." Logan stopped walking. "Do you think people like us get second chances?" Haley looked at him. "Only if we're brave enough to take them." The app was slowly growing. Troy added features. Evan wrote content. Logan tested and gave feedback. Haley connected them to a mental health advisor. They called the app Safe Signal. It wasn't perfect, but it worked. It asked simple questions. It showed soft colors. It gave reminders to breathe, to talk, to stop for a moment. One day, Dr. Mitchell called Logan to his office. Logan walked in nervously. Dr. Mitchell sat with his hands folded. "You're working with my daughter now," he said. Logan nodded. "Yes, sir." Dr. Mitchell continued. "And you were involved in the folder case." Logan swallowed hard. "Yes, sir. I made a mistake." Dr. Mitchell looked at him and asked, "Why should I trust you near my daughter?" Logan paused, then said, "Because I care about her, and I've changed. We all have. We're not trying to escape anymore. We're trying to do something good." Dr. Mitchell was silent. Then he stood up. "I don't like you, but I see your effort. Keep it clean. Keep it honest. If you hurt her, I will know." Logan nodded. "I understand." As he walked out, he saw Haley waiting outside. "He gave you the warning talk, didn't he?" she said. Logan smiled. "Yep." Haley laughed. "Welcome to the family." Back at the dorm, Evan looked better. He spoke more. He laughed at jokes. He even helped two juniors with their study plan. Troy smiled and said, "You're turning into a role model." Evan replied, "Don't expect too much. I still hate exams." Logan watched all of it with quiet joy. Their lives weren't perfect, but they were healing. The project, the people, the pain, all had a place now. And in the middle of it, Logan had found something he never expected: love, purpose, and second chances. Chapter 7. One last shot at hope. The final semester was near. Students were busy with projects, exams, and deadlines. But Logan, Troy, Evan, and Haley had something else on their minds. The app they started, Safe Signal, was almost ready. It wasn't just a small idea anymore. It had grown into something they believed in. They had tested it with 10 students. Some gave feedback. Some said it helped them feel less alone. One girl even sent an email that said, "Your app made me stop and breathe. Thank you." One morning, Troy entered the dorm with a printed form. "Guess what?" he said. "There's an innovation showcase next week. Final year projects. Open to judges and companies. We can apply." Logan asked, "Do we even count? We're not official project students." Troy replied, "It doesn't matter. We have a working idea, real users, and one last shot to prove ourselves." Evan looked unsure. "What if they reject us?" Troy smiled. "Then we go out trying, not hiding." Logan nodded. "I'm in." Haley said, "Let's do it. For us." For every student like Evan, they filled out the form. They printed reports. They made a small demo video. They added a real story, Evan's story, but with his permission and name hidden. They called the section "Why We Started." Logan read the line again and again. Because pain doesn't wear a name tag, the day of the event came. The hall was full of stalls, posters, and students in formal clothes. Big companies had sent people to watch. Some professors walked around with clipboards. Troy adjusted his badge. Evan looked nervous. Haley held Logan's hand. "Just speak from the heart," she whispered. Their turn came. Logan stood in front. He told the story in simple words. "We were just 3 boys. One day we made a mistake. One of us almost didn't survive it. That's when we knew something had to change." Then Troy showed how the app worked. Evan explained the mood tracker. Haley explained how they worked with a real advisor. The audience listened. Some nodded. One lady wiped her eyes quietly. After the talk, people came to their table. A professor said, "This should be part of every college." A man from a tech company said, "Have you thought of making this public?" Evan smiled for the first time that day. "Not yet, but now we will." That night they didn't care about prizes, but when the results were announced, their name was called. Best Social Impact Project, Safe Signal. Logan looked at Troy. Troy looked at Evan. Evan looked at Haley. Then they all smiled. Back in the dorm, they placed the small trophy on the desk. Troy tapped it once. "Not bad for a bunch of low GPA losers," he said. Evan laughed. 5 point someone, remember? Logan said, "Not anymore." Haley added, "Now you're people with a purpose." Logan sat on his bed. He looked at everyone in the room. For the first time, he didn't feel like a failure. He felt like a survivor. He felt like someone who had fallen and stood up. Later that night, Logan got a call from Dr. Mitchell. He hesitated but picked up. "I heard about the award," Dr. Mitchell said. "Good job." Logan replied, "Thank you, sir." Then Dr. Mitchell added, "And thank you for not giving up on my son." Logan didn't know what to say. After a pause, he said, "We didn't give up on each other." The next morning, their photo was in the college paper. The headline read, "Students build hope after falling apart." Logan cut the paper and folded it into his notebook. Troy saw him. "Keeping memories?" he asked. Logan smiled. "Keeping proof that we did something real." Evan looked at the app one more time. "This app, it's not perfect," he said. Troy replied, "Neither are we, but we're trying. That counts." Haley said, "And sometimes, one small effort saves a life." Logan looked outside the window. The numbers on his grade sheet hadn't changed much, but inside him, everything had. For the first time, he saw himself clearly, not as a number, not as a mistake, but as a person who stood in front of failure and chose to keep going. This was their one last shot at hope, and they had made it count. Chapter 8. We passed more than exams. Final exams came like a wave. Logan, Troy, and Evan studied hard this time. There were no shortcuts, no secret folders, no tricks. Just effort. Some nights were long. Some topics didn't make sense, but they kept going. Haley helped them revise. She made simple notes. She reminded them to rest. Logan watched her and thought, I was lucky to meet her here, inside this mess. The exams ended. There were no cheers, just tired faces and deep breaths. Logan walked out of the last exam hall and sat on the steps. Evan sat beside him and said, "I didn't do great, but I finished." Logan replied, "That's enough. We showed up. We stayed." A few days later, the results were posted. Logan had passed, barely. But he passed. Evan passed too. Troy had 2 subjects with low marks, but he cleared the semester. They looked at each other and smiled. It wasn't victory, but it was survival. That evening, Haley invited them for dinner at her apartment. She had cooked something simple. They all sat together. Dr. Mitchell was there too. He didn't speak much, but when Logan served him water, he said, "Good to see you boys still standing." Troy smiled. "We were never alone, Dad." Dr. Mitchell looked at him for a long second, then nodded. After dinner, Haley gave Logan a small card. It was a photo of the 4 of them with the words, "Safe signal, you matter." Logan looked at her and said, "This means more than any report card." She replied, "Because this one shows who we are, not what we scored." The college year ended. The room that once held their stress was now almost empty. Bags were packed, walls were bare. Logan sat on the bed and looked around. "Strange," he said. "This place was hell. But now I feel sad leaving it." Troy said, "We broke here. We fixed here. That's why it matters." Evan added, "This room saw the worst of us, but also the best." As they walked out for the last time, Logan looked back. He whispered, "Thank you." Troy asked, "To the Ruist, stay?" Logan smiled. To everything, before leaving campus, they stood under the notice board where the newspaper clipping still hung. Their photo, their story. Troy tapped it and said, "5 point someone, huh?" Logan said, "We were never that. We just thought we were." Evan said, "We passed. Maybe not with numbers, but we passed." Haley came running with small envelopes. "Last gift," she said. Inside was a keychain for each of them. It said, "We didn't just pass, we learned to live." Logan held it tight. "This is the best grade I've ever received." They all stood for a moment in silence. No one said goodbye. No one needed to. Some friendships don't end with words. They stay in the heart, like quiet music that never stops. As Logan walked toward the gate, he felt light. He had entered this college with fear, pressure, and confusion. He was leaving with friends, love, and a purpose. He hadn't topped the class. He hadn't won any gold medals. But he had found something more valuable. He had failed tests. He had made mistakes. He had almost lost everything. But he had come back, stronger, wiser, and not alone. Logan looked up at the sky and whispered, "We passed more than exams. We passed life."